Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Now it's
Now, good morning.
now good.
Hello. Happy
Easter.
Sunday. Happy
Thanksgiving.
Halloween.
Happy July.
Happy Ananobi
almost.
Day.
Happy Ananobi. Happy
Happy Amy's almost moving day.
Amy's almost moving day, and happy Wake's graduated from high school for a week now, and happy the Knicks are the champions of the NBA, and happy not getting quite enough sleep, and happy to the oceans, and happy not having Ananobi with me for a few days and coming back to you. I was on Cape Cod in Truro by Provincetown, in a gorgeous house with a gorgeous ocean. And lots of driving. Drove down, stayed a day, drove back yesterday. Yay, I'm tired.
Well, I'll dive in.
Sure.
And you can riff off what's been up for me this morning, and I've been really feeling how this work, how my dreams and working with my dreams, in the way of archetypal dream work in this specific way, how it's really, how the dreams are like fine, those tweezers that are like surgical, like they're very, very fine and can get the tiniest of things. And it's like the dreams are just very gently lifting and like sifting, and there's a pile of stuff, and it's like a mixture of feelings, projections, reactions, protectors. It's just like a pile of stuff, and like at the beginning when I first started this work, I don't even remember my presenting dream or anything like that. But I remember how I felt. I remember how I felt in my body. I remember how I felt driving home. I remember how I would feel driving to the session, which was like almost an hour drive both ways. So that was really amazing because it was built in time to let it sink in, in whatever way it could, and to really process even in a way that I wasn't understanding, and it was just so valuable. Like sometimes I would leave early for my session, just to because I wanted the process to begin. So for me, the process began when I was getting in the car, to drive to session. It was before, in the beginning, I didn't know what was going on fully, and I couldn't really return to my dream place or do my dream homework as it was presented to me then, because I just was barely present, I think, in a lot of ways. So anyway, I just came in and I was just this pile. Like I came in with this pile, and then boom, we would do a dream, and the dream, kind of the pile would flop open and the dream would be like, okay. And so for me it was shame, that my dreams were trying to heal and this shame. And I had a lot of dreams with the anima, and also shining a light on my relationship with my mother, and these things that I had stories about and had ideas about, or had developed stories about to help me cope and feel better and feel okay. So the dreams were like, just beginning to be like, to dismantle the whole idea of my relationship with my mother, and then, bring in what was really happening. And so my point is the pile of stuff, and it's like very hard to discern, it's like, and for me it's like shame is a heavy dark blanket that throws itself over everything. So it is, to me, shame sweeps everything off the table. It's like throws the baby out with the bathwater. When my experience of shame was I mean, I felt like that was all I felt was shame. And it was just covering all of my other feelings. So I couldn't see anything else. It was like I was just under that dark blanket. So the dreams just worked at helping me feel how shame was not the thing. It was, there was more stuff. Even I couldn't intellectualize all the stuff, which is like shame is a reaction, it's a protection, it's like not, I experience now shame is not a feeling, it's just a thing that comes in that wants to take me away from the deeper place. You know, that's my felt experience of it. And now I have, now when I'm like, oh, look at that. Like, I see you, you know, I can see you over there. I can hear the, you know, the whisper of you over there, and you want to, because as soon as I look, it's like in a movie or something, you know, as soon as, like Stranger Things, when they like look, it's like the, what's it called, the Demogorgon or whatever, you know, as soon as, or in other movies too, you know, if there's like eye contact, that thing is like jumps on you, you know, and so like it's like it pulls that string, speaking of string, of engagement, you know, so, you know, but then come to find that actually I was feeling pain. You know, I was like, the shame was pain that I wasn't feeling. The shame was grief, was all different pain, that all sort of different flavors of pain that feel aren't the same. You know, that's a you know, one word is pain, but it's very specific, you know, which is why the dreams are amazing, and they help because they bring certain scenarios that elicit and hold that exact, like, not flavor, nuance of this particular kind of, the way the light's coming through the prism and hitting our heart in this particular way with pain. And then, you know, months later, years later, you know, it's like there's all sorts of different kinds of pain. And so I've just been really feeling how living for so long, just being so consumed, I would say that, I mean, I would say that, you know, by my shame, that I couldn't really, it really did a good job, the protector of the shame, at making things really simple. It was like, I suck, I am, you know, it's all my fault. It was like just so much shame, and it was really like, okay, well, I know where I stand. My knees with, you know, because then because I can imagine that were I to come in with incredible dreams of incredible pain at that time, I would not have been, I was so crushed by the shame and so identified with the shame. I really felt like it was who I was. And I never thought that I would ever not be that, or, you know, that,
well, you just thought it was who you were.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
no context for not.
Right. So if I would have come in and it would have been like, feel this pain, it wouldn't have made any sense, and I would not have been able to do it because you know, so now then the pain comes in, and it's like, and then the shame's not there because it ameliorates, you know, it's like the pain disintegrates the shame for me. It's like it's like bing, you know, and it just kind of blows it apart, because really it is just that, you know, which is, I know, perhaps controversial, like I can say that now, but when I was beginning and still really identified with the shame, if someone would have said it's just a thin veil, that would have fucking pissed me off.
Well, I don't think it's a thin veil.
And confused me.
I mean, it's not, it's a heavy thing.
Right, it's like I'm saying two things. I'm saying it's a heavy, you know, it is heavy, thick and heavy and dense, and I guess now for me it's just
it's dissolvable, right?
Yeah.
It's like no matter how thick something is, it can still dissolve, but if we're in it, it is.
Yeah.
So it can be, there's like when you say that, I feel like it's kind of, for me, the language of spiritual bypassing. can come up, and it's a hard thing to hold on. Not that you're saying that, but it's like that thing of like, oh, it's just like it's such a paradox because in some ways we are overreacting to the trauma, so it is more our egos defending ourselves against it being more than something that it is, and yet the freedom that opens up around it comes from dissolving it slowly. So yeah, like I'm on the other place of shame, where shame, I'm so aware of shame as a thing that I, thank God, don't feel like I experience very often. But similar to you, I just, that was, that was part of my who I was these are the ways that I don't that I don't add up. Not attractive, like can't stick to anything, like those weren't like, oh, this is shame. Right, those were,
right.
and so in that place there's not even the thin, it's not even like, kind of, I guess what you're saying, it's not even a thin layer, it's just the thing. But yeah, just like trauma happened in the past, it's not happening now, and so when our psyches are able to heal it, all of it can become a paper tiger, which doesn't mean that it wasn't a big deal, but it's not, it doesn't live in the body in the same way as much. So.
Right, yeah, it's just really, I'm so grateful for things, as always, because they really help in identifying, sounds weird, uncovering, bringing to light the feelings that, whereas there can, versus the, it's like reactions versus feelings kind of a thing, or I feel like there's something that I'm not articulating well that I'm really feeling, that's
Would it help to use a dream or a present experience?
Well, I mean, really what I'm feeling in work is, I haven't been remembering my dreams very well, so the dream that I do have, yeah, because my own dream place doesn't apply to that. I just had to feel into that for a second. But in working with people, part of the process in working with people is like, each person, there's a different language, because they're different people, and the dreams all hold, the specific person's language, and so it's like learning that, and so much is like things to tease out what the feelings are is a process. And I've really been feeling that. I think that's why, I don't know why that feels uncomfortable for me to say, like, but I'm really feeling that in working with people, is like, oh, it's like initially a thing can be, I feel shame, but actually there's 3 other things going on, and it just takes a little time, and that's why, re-entering the dream is so helpful, is like to just get the embodied feeling and stuff, and then it's like, oh, there's pain and there's fear in here, at least, and so then the other things come, then those deeper feelings come, and or the experiences that are underneath. But I think it's like, it's easy, or it's like, because we are taught to not feel, and we're taught that certain, if not all feelings, certain feelings are bad, like especially pain and fear, like, and it's, and so we don't want, we're like repressing that or whatever, and it's like, but actually those are there, and then, so it's great to, like, it's easier to be like, I feel shame, or it's just like, that's more forward, and then these other things, and I've just really been um, been feeling the intricacy of the way the dreams, the dreams work, and really appreciating it.
Yeah, like the way that something new that you didn't even know was there can sort of show up, like when the layer.
Yeah, and how the dreams specifically use, like, certain people, like, yeah, certain people to really, and like, I mean, Edward Norton's a great experience, a great example with you, like, use these archetypal people, we have these certain projections onto, or certain experiences with, whereas it's like, oh, there's certain people where, if I'm dreaming of, Andrew Libby, that's the animus, because he, for me, is of, like, connection beyond it, in this world beyond anything I ever had, and absolute trust, and, so it's like, yeah, that's, and then there's, I mean, I had this dream with, like, yeah. Mm. Yeah, just a sweet. I actually don't want to share my dream play stuff with it right now, which is interesting. But
well, I can talk about Ed Norton because for those of you who are just tuning in, like Ed Norton is an actor, and I had a dream where he was a teacher in the class, and I have never if you had said, "What do you think of Ed Norton?" to me before this dream, I would immediately have like a visceral let me tell you what I don't like about Ed Norton. Like it would be like this visceral reaction. Because I've experienced him in our interaction, in me watching him on screen, and the one moment we were in the same room, as being my experience of him is a very kind of intellectual, arrogant, superficial, pseudo-intellectual. Like that's how I see him. Like,
so that's what he kind of represents.
That's what he represents to me. So I'll just kind of ground it in an example, which is that movie American History X, which I guess he got nominated for an Oscar for. To me, it felt so trite because he's like this, vicious Nazi who kills black people, and he goes to jail and meets a black guy in the laundry room, and all of a sudden realizes that everyone's the same. That was my experience of the movie. Maybe I'll watch it again as a less defended, less arrogant person, and I'll see it differently. But that's how I saw it. That was the kind of thing that made me mad, because it almost felt like spiritual bypassing. It's like racial bypassing or something. It was like oversimplifying this thing, but it was like, oh my God, we've never seen this before. That was my experience of Ed Norton. And then probably there's just the bitterness of him talking to Prince when I was in the same room as Prince and all that. So it's surprising in the dream that he comes as sort of this very loving, wonderful teacher. But again, it's sort of like what you were saying, it's why, right? That's why would the dream use Ed Norton? And it's so particular and so amazing because I have this great level. Part of how I defended myself is I was blessed with a level of intelligence that I could say oh, this is something I have that's good. Everyone was always you're so smart. And I was so convinced that I was lazy and unattractive and all this other stuff. So it's it's that plus minus thing. But I'm this, and this, and so I still have memories, specific memories of oh, you'll do great in high school. You're so smart. People saying things like that. And so I could identify as, well, if I'm a piece of shit all these other places, at least I'm the smartest person in the room, or, I literally would feel that way, which, sounds, I feel sheepish saying it, because it's it feels so arrogant. And it is. I mean, it is from that place, because it's an immature part that's saying oh, well, I may not be this, but I'm this.
Right. Well, and it's that it's like a compensation. It's that's part of the what's it called? Protectors. But we're smart.
Right. And so there's a way that projection onto Ed Norton, why the fuck, why, if I was to meet Ed Norton, why the fuck start with a place of judgment of him, even if it was a real person, right? why not just be with him, right? And I think that's almost sort of like what the dream is saying. It's like you're missing his gold, right? Just like I'm missing my gold. Like I'm missing my gold by saying, well, I know more than you do. I'm missing my gold and their gold. I'm missing, like, it helps me, it helps protect me from my vulnerability by being smart. I just went into this week, actually, I realized, with this woman person, I'll try to drop any potential identifying thing, because as soon as I said woman, 50% of the world could be one of the, anyway, I was really frustrated over months of lack of communication within the team I'm working on. And then I was asked to do something as the therapist to this client on the team of, this client really needs to understand the consequences of their behavior, which is an incredibly superficial, short-sighted, unhelpful way of understanding perspectives on treatment or healing. But it's where people default to when they don't. My experience is it's where people default to commonly, for one thing. Punishment is if it's going to do something, but it's also what we default to when we don't know what to do, or we don't have a bigger understanding. So I got really frustrated because I got this email from this person saying to them in therapy that now they're going to owe all this money because of the damage that they did. And I was like, I've been asking for months for more context about what's going on. And so I wrote a very pointed email about, here's information that will be really helpful. I tried to be as unpointed as I could. But the person had a big reaction to it, and then sent an email to the whole team basically saying maybe we need a different therapist. Not, but in a real, I'll say, passive aggressive kind of way. It was, they were making all sorts of attributions based on what they thought was fact that was just possibly, but I don't think that's true, if that makes sense. Like, the person's acting this way because of this. Oh, and in fact, they broke the window because after a therapy session, you had sided with this other person, which reinforced them being angry. It was all this convoluted shit. And so I had a really big... So I had a really big reaction to it. But it was also this place of like, I don't know, it's so complicated because I don't know this person, so I don't feel like being vulnerable with them because I don't trust to be vulnerable with them. And any attempt to be vulnerable with them would be fawning, like to please and appease and be like, oh, you may be right. Like, I don't know if I don't think any part of, So I was able to talk to like a mutual person who said that that person had a reaction to a specific thing I had said in the email, which I get it because I could identify how that came from a hubris at place.
Oh,
which was because I wrote in the email, I would wager, this is where that person reacted, I would wager that the conflict came from a miscommunication that followed by a power struggle, which I would literally, I would wager that. That's how I would make a lot of money. But that I could see was an arrogant place because I could feel in myself how I was coming from a reactive place. I was so fucking annoyed after months of asking and asking and asking and not getting.
Right.
So I was sort of in a position where, I mean, I can see for myself, I don't know how I would have handled it differently. And in fact, maybe the edge needed to get pushed because this person and I are going to talk one-on-one next week to sort of try to resolve it a little bit. I don't know if it would have gotten pushed if I hadn't. I don't know. I don't really know. I don't really care either because on some level, all of that to me is, all of it to me is delightful because I'm learning so much about myself in all of it. So in some ways, it doesn't matter, which is interesting. Because I guess to just see myself get pissed, it was great because you came over and I was able to vent to you. That's actually really helpful because I realize it's part of my process of working through how much of a bitch my mom was to me and the mistreatment and the projection of the dark mother experience of my mom and her judgment and her hubris, which this person was modeling, judgment and hubris and shame. That was what their response was toward me. So of course I had this big reaction back to it, but I also know that it was coming from their wound. I just don't know this person at all. So I can know that, but it's not like helpful. It's not like,
Right.
oh, so
Sure.
like person I just met, do you know what this says about your trauma? You sent this email. And so then like bringing me back to my places, which don't have anything to do with pride or shame now, because they are working on the trauma healing part of it, which is a lot of just dreams of like real fear and horrible things, like experiencing horrible things in the dream. So one dream I had, this I will say, when I say horrible things, they seem objectively horrible from like the ego perspective, because in the dream world, of course, all they are is feelings, which aren't horrible, right? If that makes sense. So like they're nightmarish. But to me, that's just like where, if it's that intense, it's like opening up the whole thing. Like I really, really trust that. So I had one dream where I was told that this father and a 5-year-old had died in a car crash, and it's like in the dream it feels like the most horrible thing ever. Like my love in my body has been opened up by wake more than anything ever in the world. So to imagine that loss is the most devastating thing I could, like, to have lost Wake when he was 5 feels like the most devastating thing I could imagine. And so there's that dream. And then there's this other dream where I'm witnessing these Asian men who are playing what seems like some kind of game, like a game on TV or something, but it feels awful because they're throwing like knives or some sharp objects and like hitting each other. It just seems cruel and aggressive and angry. And then like one of them hits the other in the face, and I'm like, oh, why are they not wearing goggles? And it just feels awful. But what I'm able to do in where I am in my growth and all this work is I'm able to bring that Ed Norton feeling, which feels like this just loving, safe father feeling energy, really warm. Like Ed Norton in the dream is just radiant. He's just so loving and warm and like welcoming me in, like a kindergarten teacher. Or I say kindergarten teacher because that's the best I can imagine, not a father who would actually do that, right? So like he's welcoming me in as a father. And in those places I can just feel myself go deeper into these horrible scenes. And they're no longer horrible. They're like scary, but I'm also really curious about them because I can also feel this little switch where it's like, a 5-year-old dying in a dream has a very different context than our ego's idea of a 5-year-old dying in a car crash, which is like the dream you had of the girl who hanged herself. It was like, well, I did die at 5. Like that part of my soul just was killed in trauma from being obliterated by my the fear of my dad and my mom's anxiety and hubris. There was like no room whatsoever for any sense of like wonder or joy. There was none. I was like alone in this cabin in Plainfield with these 2 parents who were both like so dysregulated. There was no room for anything. I had my like baseball cards and I just had my baseball cards and like my book about the Yankees, and the only relief I would get was like alphabetizing the baseball card. It's like creating some kind of order in this like mini universe I could have. Like talk about where OCD comes from and stuff. And so that's the 5-year-old, and that 5-year-old, now we like can see that it died in this car crash. Like it was awful. And I am also identified through other work that I'm doing with internal family systems work, like this just pre-verbal terrified part, and I can really feel that. And then this like animus Ed Norton love that I would not have accepted for a moment because I would have judged him. That's where it's so intense. Like what was coming in to support me, I was projecting my hubris onto.
Yes. That's like really, I mean, because I keep, as you're talking, I keep going back to the moment when you said,
I was always smarter than every male who came in. I dropped all my college classes where I felt like the guy was arrogant. I would literally drop a college class because I felt the guy was arrogant.
Yeah.
If only I had a good therapist at that point, I would have saved a lot of fucking money. Like, that's like, so the animus has to come as like the most arrogant guy I experience as arrogant to show me that that is keeping me from the wonder that's being offered by this male archetype.
Right.
Because the only male archetype I could experience was an arrogant one. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, it's so incredible on all the I feel like it's so incredible, and also applies to the horizontal life, you know, of just projection and reaction, and how that separates us. It's like, I mean, how dramatically it separates us, and we wonder why we're at this divided, incredibly divided moment, you know, here in America or whatever, and I feel, you know, like, because that's what's going on, is because, and I'll speak, you know, for myself, you know, I can have, it depends, you know, and it depends on how, if I'm hungry, if I have to pee, like how comfortable I am in my body, how present I am in my body, you know, how, whatever, and I can have one interaction with someone that is just like, I'll give an example. I had a slice customer who just said something so weird, like a regular customer I really enjoy, like really, you know, just always like seeing him. That's all, you know, he orders the same thing every time, and I'm just like very delighted to see him. And he came and he said something so weird, like he was like, you know, making a joke and was like, "Hello, is anybody here?" Like I was standing there, and he was like, "Can I get some service?" And what, you know, and so I'm like, oh, this triggers my thing of like, I just, you know, but I'm right here, and I have such like pride. It means something to me to be present with people and whatever. But it was like so weirdly aggressive, and like
trying to be funny or something.
And it's like so not my humor and stuff, and so it was like it was just the perfect terrible situation.
Right.
Like this exact thing could come up in a dream. This scenario, where I'm just like, I was so confused in my body. Like I was like happy to see the guy initially. Then he's like acting really weird and super like loud and like aggressive, and I actually didn't know what was happening in that moment. Like I was like, part of me was like, is he serious? Like I really didn't, so I'm trying to like discern, and it really, the next time I saw him, I didn't want to see him, you know. I was like, I didn't like that, and I didn't understand it, you know, and then the next time I saw him, I was way less open. Whereas normally when I would see him, I was like, oh, we have a simple thing. I enjoy this guy. We don't talk, it's not deep or anything, but it's, you know, I enjoy him. I recognize that I appreciate him, whatever. Like and then this happened, and I was like, oh, maybe that's gonna happen again, or like, does he? And like then I come to find now when he comes in, he's weird. And I'm like, oh, that's his sense of humor. He has that insulting you sense of humor as, I think, affection. Oh man, it's so not my thing. It's like really not my thing. It's like roasting. And I can't stand it. It's like it feels so hurtful. But I'm like, okay, I'm learning. Like he doesn't mean it to be hurtful. So now I know he doesn't mean it to be hurtful, and I can stand there with him in it, and like, you know.
Yeah.
And but I can also take that and possibly be like, shut down to him forever, you know, just be like, that's all that guy is, like, fuck that guy, you know, and like, I'm not, it's not safe, and I'm not safe, and like, I'm not gonna give him, you know, the time of day or whatever, and then then it's done, you know, then I missed some gold, which I'm not saying that I need to be open with everyone, and boundaries aren't appropriate and all that stuff.
Sure.
And that the honed level of discernment in from my heart is not helpful, because it is, you know, and I'm so grateful for it, and I have more energy and more love to give because I have learned those boundaries and my heart has been, you know, and continues to be like have the capacity of more and more discernment in a way that feels really soulful. And so yeah, but like the thing that I can feel also is the pain of how much we're all missing, you know. And
Yeah. I
and
got
that's
to witness that a lot this week, and a bunch of different things of just like being around people and just feeling, not that I know their experience or don't know the experience, but like it's like what I texted you. Like I feel like I'm seeing that there's only so many ways that our ego protects itself. Like you get to start witnessing sort of these archetypal slash stereotypical paths of defense that people have, and it's really intense to watch how it keeps us from each other and perpetuates these cycles. Then I'm like, oh baby, baby, we could break this, because especially like I just started seeing a new client, and like so quickly with the dreams, it's like boom, like this thing that they probably would never have seen. I literally think that they would never have seen. I don't want to like feed my arrogance or hubris or anything about the dream work, but I don't think they would have ever seen it without the dream. And they saw it in the second session, and all of a sudden their heart opened up, like in this way that they hadn't cried in like forever. And then they were, and it was so, I don't know, it was just so, and the dream was so specific in the person it used, like the person it used, and the aspect of this client's self that the dream used to like rip them open in a way that they could just feel this thing that was like really intense, but also opened them, not rip them open in a way like we're just gonna obliterate you, but like was able to pull this thing apart where there could be flow. And they even in the first dream they ever had was them pulling out this thing from their leg, and we're looking at it. I was like, so this is what's gonna, just so you know, like the dream is prepping us. We don't know what this thing is, but it's like in you and not of you, and we're gonna take it out and we're gonna look at it. Like I could say that about therapy as much as, but you had the dream, like can you feel just holding this thing and the curiosity about this thing, like,
and feel it being out of
and
you.
feel it being out of you, and the curiosity of it. So like then they have their own experience of entering into this, like holy shit, and like, and then they had this dream where they had this experience that they never would have shared with me about something so tender and dear to their heart that has to do with the part of their body that seems sort of so innocuous in a way, but is all that they're so consumed by. And the dream was like, well, let's see if we nudge you in this way around that part of your physicality, and you know. And they also brought in puppies in a different dream. That just helps them feel so loved, and oxytocin, and being like we learned from Billie Eilish in her documentary about how she has her staff hang out with puppies for oxytocin. It's like so I'm feeling, I just also just want to say, like, I'm so grateful because of this incredibly dramatic change in my life, which is Wake graduating from high school and going to be going on to college, and how much I have worked so hard on breaking the projection of my soul boy onto Wake, whereas like the only, like he helped me feel okay because he was the healthy boy. And so then if he leaves, I'm back in my nihilism, which was like a real, and so now I'm not, like now I just feel so, at this point, I know it can all shift, who the fuck knows, but like I haven't felt any like, oh no, he's graduating, oh it's gonna be so hard, like I haven't felt that at all. I felt like everything just feels like exciting and so present, right? So even like when I'm with Wake, I'm not like, oh I need to hold on to this moment, like we just at the Cape and it was like amazing. I was like, I need to try to form this memory so I can hold on to this when he's not here. Like that's the thing that I was used to do. And there's this moment I was sitting on the beach. We were out in Truro, right outside of Provincetown on Cape Cod, and this beach, and I mean, it's so great when it's not full on vacation time because it's like a reasonable like there just weren't that many people there. We were staying, and we were about 30 feet from the waves, and it was a sunny day, and we're just the sparkle, the ocean sparkle of the light, like all over the place. And Wade just got up and he walked in. There was almost no one in there, and he dived right in. And it was just so gorgeous. Like, and I purposefully did not bring my phone. Like, I did not want to bring my phone. I wanted to just be there. And it just felt so amazing for a few reasons. One, it was just beautiful. Like, he just was like in the water, and his boy body has become this man body, and he's like ready to go to New York City. And the other thing is that this trauma experience that he had in the water when we were in Puerto Rico, of he had swam out a little too far and like couldn't get back, and me and my friend and her kids, we like got him back in, but he was really shaken by that. And so now, and this is the beautiful thing around when it becomes trauma and affects us for long periods of our life, or when it's just a scary experience that doesn't get stuck and we have to avoid. It's like that was a really scary moment that had trauma qualities to it. Like Wake said the next day when we went in the water, he's like, even though we went to a totally still place, he's like, I don't really want to be in the water. But here he's jumping into the ocean again. And it just felt like, I mean, I've asked him a little bit about it. He's like, yeah, I don't think it's affecting me anymore. Like that also just felt, I was able to be like, here's this boy in the water, if it were a dream, here's this boy in the ocean. And that's an unknown, scary place, even being in the water. Like there's a part of me that's like, oh, I'm ready to jump in and save him if I need to, So that to be said, that like in this place I can so easily go to these scary places in my dream with the animus and the love that just allows, so that I'm not projecting, something bad's about to happen onto Wake leaving. So Wake leaving could be the boy dying in the 5-year-old dying in a car crash, because then I would feel devastated of him leaving if I projected that out.
Yeah. I just to offer I'm having a harder time or whatever. Like I feel like intense celebration and joy, and like I'm so excited for all these kids I love so much, and and Wake, most especially. And I am just before he's leaving for college, I am like doing this big life change and moving, and got a place where there's not like space, he's not gonna have a bedroom and this place that I got, and I'm really like, it's just been really like hard for me. Like he's like, Mom, I don't care, it's fine. And it's like another level, and for me, I feel like there's so much, and even in the process of moving, and I haven't touched his 2 rooms, at the house. Like I'm just like, oh my God, like the posters, and I'm like, it's just really, I feel like, I just feel a loss, I really feel a loss, and so, I don't know, I just want to say that, like, for some reason, like, I think it's beautiful, everything that you said, and I'm just having, like, I'm feeling a lot of pain, that wants to get projected, into, like, terror. I think it's, like, not, like, it's not like I'm actively projecting it, but I can feel, it, like when I'm packing and stuff, and I have to, like, take breaks, because I'm like, I can feel where I start to get amped up, and and just start to work to get it wants to go into like fear and like just worry and stress around, you know, whatever it is. I have too much stuff, or like and then also the grief with the dog, you know, and not you know, not having the dog. So it's, yeah, I just feel like a real mix, and yeah, I'm having a lot of like memories from when he was little and stuff like that, you know, just like I feel like he has grown and like, you know, generally just has spent more time with you, as he, and for different reasons and whatever, and you know, it doesn't matter, and it's great, and also like I miss spending more time with him, you know, and him not having a room is like some ideas like, well, he's really gonna be gone, like even you know, like as though he's just gonna disappear and I'm never gonna see him, or so yeah, I'm feeling stuff, a connection now with my work, but I feel like probably we're done or something, but yeah, I mean, it does feel relevant. It's not a big thing, but I'm now going to mention what my current place is. It's in the dream, I'm like a child in bed, and my father, like a father figure, like older man, is sitting on the floor. And I'm very tired, like going to sleep, you know, like I used to do with Wake, is like be beside him, and like when he was in his crib, or when, you know, before, and like sing to him, and just like sometimes he would talk, like, or ask questions before sleep and stuff. Which is something I never had that as a kid, and never had anything like that whatsoever. Like that kind of comfort ever from either of my parents. So in the dream, I'm in bed, and like the man is like telling me, talking about Ben Affleck, in this really, and I don't care what he's saying. Like I'm, you know, I'm just like listening to his voice, and I just feel like so soothed, as you know, which is, I don't know if I've ever used that word or ever felt that. From people, like I felt it, from trees and the ocean and water and the smell of the air, like in Bermuda and in Manasquan, and you know, like, but I haven't really felt it with people. So I have this, and at the time when I had this dream, I was really, things were so unknown, and it was really up in the air, my living situation, and it was there, and I was not able to get like clarification on whether I was going to get this place, and I felt very disrupted, like inside. And in session, my therapist invited me to bring my this up in the airness, you know, this lack of clarity, this fear, to that moment in the dream. I'm just like, be in bed, you know, feel that, and feel the man, you know, beside you. And he said, well, no, he didn't. Then what happened to me is all the intensity of the fear, I was just like pouring it into him, like it just was coming out of me like projectile vomiting, like I didn't even think of that until this moment, but it was exactly that feeling of, and it was like, and he just sat there and like was just, it was all going into him, and like then I just felt this immense love, this like, this something I've never felt before, was like I felt like I had support in a way that I've never felt before. I've never understood, like I've never had the experience of. So now that I have signed a lease, and I know that this is happening, and so that specific kind of in more acute, like not knowing, you know, and why am I not thinking of the word? It's so funny. It's not there. Now what I'm feeling is more leaning into the discomfort and this fear that comes up in this support. I'm like, having that kind of support is kind of also, there's fear there, and so it's interesting. And so now, you know, as is life, I'm in a different phase of all of this, and so I'm just, you know, remembering to, you know, bring it back to that place of just like listening to his voice and falling asleep and feeling this level of cared for that I've never had before, and letting that fear energy be there also, you know, and just not questioning it, just like letting it be there, and how it doesn't do anything. It's like it doesn't change the support and that love, and so yeah, I don't know, it just feels related to everything. And this moment in time, and of all the change, you know, at one time.
It's a lot of fucking change.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. You know, nobody, do you have anything else? You hear the dog barking and your ears are saying, huh, am I awake or something? All right, y'all.
Alright. Sending love as usual, wherever you are, however you are.
Yes.
Yeah. Keep dreaming, reach out if you'd like. Message us, awtdreamwork.com, all the stuff. And we'll see you next time.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.